shoot, it's me. We lost David. Hi, everyone. Well, we lost Chzbrgr somehow. Well, that's a surprise. I'm Carrie Fonte with Reuzel Education. Let me text Chzbrgr and tell him to jump back in. We totally lost him. Live technology is a lot of fun, isn't it? Jump back on. We lost you. It's going to be great once he's back here with us. Thank you for joining us this morning. I never see you guys. You just hear the voice behind the live, and it's me. We're going to be joined in just a moment by David Chzbrgr Brockhoeft. He's coming to us from Frederick, Maryland. He's got his whole team there with him. He's got a terrific model. He's going to do a great haircut. We just need him to come back on. It's so strange. We were just practicing. There he is. So hang on. Let me let him back in. Hey, Cheese.
Hi. Good morning. Good morning.
I just told everybody it was so strange. I said we were coming there. You and I were just there rehearsing. But when the intro was open, oh my gosh, it was only me. So it's all you now. I've introduced you. I told them you have your whole team there. I'll stop talking. Take it away.
Hey everyone. I'm Dave Brockhoeft, aka Chzbrgr Eddy. I'm here with my team in the most productive square foot in Frederick, Maryland. I mean, this front room, if you can scan around, it's pretty packed tight. We work pretty close together in here. We have a great time. I'm really thankful for my crew coming out to help me today. I got Carl as my model, Mike on camera, Cody's sitting in back observing. Today we're going to do a thing with Carl's hair here. We're going to do a zone fading technique. And if you look through Carl's hair, it's he's got a lot of head tattoos underneath there. So this is becoming a more common practice in the shops of today. So I'm going to show you how we can kind of fade out and bring the tattoos into the fade and do something a little fun today. So we're going to do this today, and we're going to be focusing in on this as a zone fading technique. And I'm going to teach you a very simple way to zone fade this. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, and I'm going to show you over here. We're going to start, like always, with a preliminary parting. Okay, this parting is going to start up here at the corner recession, usually, or wherever the squarest part of the hair is starting in the center. We're going to work our way back. But if you've noticed, I've made this red a little bit broader than just the parting itself, because I'm going to show you we're actually going to draw in kind of a line here and create what we call zone 1 of this preliminary parting right here. We're going to go around from side to side and back through the head. So we're going to come over here. We're going to start off, and we're going to use our clipper comb. I'm going to dampen down Carl's hair just a little bit. When I do these fades and his hair is kind of softer, I don't like it to be sopping wet. So I'm just going to push this kind of out of the way and create my section. All right, now that I kind of got my section established, my preliminary parting, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just kind of take a different approach to putting in my baseline. I'm going to start here in the center, but usually we work straight 90. That's just the common way. Today, I'm going to take this and I'm going to tilt the back of my comb in a little bit. So that's going to draw me a diagonal graduation down to the scalp. I'm going to start and I'm going to bring it in. And I'm going to kind of draw that dent into the hair, pressing my comb up against it. And I'm creating kind of a line that I'm going to come up and detail into the hair. So you can kind of see this shelf that I'm putting down in here. That's going to be considered like zone 1. Okay. Just kind of cleaning. As you can see, you can start seeing you can see the line that we're placing into the head. All right, we're going to continue this. Around the back, but I'm going to bring it more diagonally as I get to the back. See how I'm bringing this down into its occipital area. Usually I would stand really square in front of this, but I'm trying not to block the camera for you guys today. But as you can see, we're starting to put a guided line in there. This is going to be what we call zone 1 of the fade. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to move to the other side. We're going to wet down the hair just a little bit, not over wet it. I don't want to take away the natural movement of his softer hair. Push it out of my way. We're going to start in the center, tilt the comb into the head. We got a line that we're creating in there, a shell. We're going to bring it down, crossing, I like to say, down to this nape. I'm going to clean this side, do the same thing. I'm going to cross it down to that nape. So this way you can see how we've created this shelf and an indentation into the hair. All right, that's going to be zone 1. I'm just going to come in, clean it up a little bit. Now I'm going to define this line just a little bit heavier by using my trimmer and a cutting comb. So now that I know where that guide is, I'm just going to make it a little bit stronger and clean that line up just a little bit more, working to the front. Just defining that spot just a little bit more. And you can see as we're defining it, making it a little bit stronger, you can really see where our base zone is. See, we have this, and then you have this. So we're going to go around, and I'm going to repeat the process on the opposing side right here. So I'm going to come in. Define that line. And bring it in. Now that we got a more defined line, now we're going to come up and we're going to go into what we call zone 2. And we're going to come over here. I'm going to show you a little diagram of the zones that we have here. We just went through zone 1, which is our baseline, and then we broadened out and we created our indentation. Now we're going to skip down to the nape, and we're going to come up to the corner up here from, see how we follow this line up to the corner recession? This is going to be our zone 2. This is going to be our shortest area. So we have our guideline area, then we're going to take our severe fade area first. Like here's the back, we'll go 1, then we're going to go to 2, and then we'll go to 3 and blend in the 2 areas. Does that make sense? Is everybody following? It's a very simple process and way of doing it. So what we're going to do is, you can see like underneath here, Carl does have quite a bit of artwork in here. So we want to bring that out. So I'm going to take my fabulous clipper, and I'm going to open it all the way up at first. And I'm going to use the top of this ear as a docking mark so I know where I start. So as I come up, I'm just going to push up. And I'm going to go to that recession area. And I'm going to bring out that artwork. Now I'm staying about riding the crest of this ear, and I'm going to come up on the back, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring this up. And you can see how we got this zone 3 that's still going to be longer. And we're going to start exposing the artwork. And as you can see, as we start going through, the tattoos start surfacing out of the hair. We're just repeating the process, coming through and following through to the other side, creating our second zone, or zone 2 of our fade. Starting again at the bump of the ear, right here. And when I'm working with my clippers, you notice I'm using 2 hands at all time. I'm not just going with one hand and going all over. This hand is stabilizing the clipper as I use it. So as I come through, I'm holding and I'm pushing with force with my fingers on this hand, which actually really stabilizes my clipper. And as I'm moving up, I'm just going in an upward scoop to my guided line. I'm doing it real slow for you. And then as I get to the ear, I'll point my clipper blade in the corner, and I'm just going to roll it around. Okay, I've removed that bulk, but I still want to clean this up a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoot over here for a minute. I'm going to come in, and I closed my blade now, or let's make it to 2. We'll go to 2 notches. The second notch on the side here. We got first notch, second notch. That way we have a little bit of play. So we're going to scoop that down and just follow the same line. We're going to follow it through. Notice, see, I'm not going all the way up at this point. I'm dropping down about, I guess, a finger's width would be a good way of determining it. And then I'm going to take it all the way closed. And then I'm going to come follow up using my T skeletal trimmer from Bablas. And I'm going to just clean that down through the bottom, just clean. If you notice as I'm moving around the head, you can see that the T of my skeleton trimmer stays square. It's not tilting this way, it's not tilting that way. So I'm coming up and creating a clean line with it. I'm holding it. Now stabilizing it with my left hand really helps in this aspect. It keeps my blade really square and straight as I move around. Then I'm going to take my box shaver and I'm going to kind of draw out these with the corner of my box shaver and really bring out the artwork more. That way it's not diffused. But see, this way, I'm really not disturbing the rest of the fade. I'm going to taunt the skin with my thumb and pull this very tight and get tension. And I'm going to go into that point. I'll deal with this one towards the end because it's still a little deep into the hair. And we'll come back at the end and we'll bring that one back out. But you can see how the art now has surfaced and it's a lot brighter and shows through more. But yet we've kept the inner lines all still within the fade. So any questions about anything so far?
No questions. You're doing a great, thorough job. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm going to take my headset off because you're coming through the phone, Carrie. So we're obviously just running through my phone. That way everybody can hear. So if you have problems hearing me or understanding, just speak up. I do mumble. I'm from Texas, so I won't get offended. Now that we've got like our zone 2 done, we have zone 1, we have zone 2, and you can see how we have the zone 3 right through the middle. So this is where we just blend and tie everything in. So the reason it's like we set a guideline, we set our skin zone, and now we just blend the two together. It's very simple. We got 1, 2, and 3. Instead of going 1, 2, 3 down or 1, 2, 3 up, we establish where we're working to, we establish where we're starting from, and then we meet in the middle. So to do this, I'm going to put my one guard on, and I'm going to open it all the way up at first. Right. I'm just going to come up moving with the head surface and bring it into my original first zone. I'm going to work around the ear. Now, this is important. Anytime you're working with an ear, instead of fighting the ear, you move with the ear. So you always come from behind the ear. See how the ear just moves out of your way with the clipper? The clipper just pushes it where it needs to be. You don't have to fight it at all. So you're just going to follow through around the ear. This is the thing I've picked up over time, that instead of trying to fight the ears from forward to back, you always go from behind the ear forward, and which eliminates the fight. The ear just moves for you. You don't have to hold it. You don't have to pinch it down. It just moves out of your way. Now you can start to see how that's starting to tie in. I'm going to come back over here and just kind of keep tying in from the other side. So as I move up, Now this part could be a little tricky with different head shapes because if you're like me, I have a protruding occipital bone, which is right here. Luckily, Carl doesn't. So I would have a knot here. So in order to get a more balanced shape, you would have to drop this line a little bit lower for me so it doesn't look like I have a speed bump in the back of my head. So head shape is crucial when cutting hair. So knowing what the head shape is going to do and how to cut it really keeps the balance in the shape of your head and your haircut. So we always want to stay in line with the head shape. So I'm going to keep working around. And notice I'm just following the head shape up and out as I move up. See, like if I was just coming out. So I'm just kind of up and out. And then you'll notice, like when you're fading, you'll have what we call spots, which are usually lower spots within the head that make it seem darker. So we'll have to come in there at the end and we're going to have to blend out some of this weight in these lower lying areas of the head, which create these darker spots as we come through. And again, it's very simple. We're just meeting from zone 2 and going back up to zone 1, which we cut first, which is creating our zone 3 of the fade.
David?
Yes.
If you weren't doing this and explaining, if you just start to finish behind the chair, how long does it take you to complete this haircut?
Probably about a half hour.
Perfect. Thank you. That was a question.
I mean, we work generally during COVID, we had to stretch our appointments out for at least an hour to apply to protocol and everything. But now that we've green lighted back into it, we work on a half hour to 45-minute basis, depending if we're doing beards and hair or just the hair. But generally, I've done these, we do a lot of fades. So I kind of get on autopilot. And since I have a system, a zone system, a simple system, I don't really have to overthink what I'm doing. I already know what I'm doing. So if I go by the steps, I know what my result is going to be. So I just follow my steps, and I know that by following the steps, I get consistency to my result, which is what we need. It's just about consistency. Barbering and hairstyling, your clients come to you because you're consistent on what you do. If you're inconsistent and you cut and hope everything, what we call C&H every haircut, you don't have a system in place. It takes you longer. You're not proficient with your time. You don't make as much money, and your haircuts are inconsistent. So systematic approaches are the key to consistency.
Thank you.
You just keep following the system and you know what the end result's going to be. So you don't have to overthink anything. As you see, I'm going to go with the ear again. See how the ear will just move out of the way for me? It just moves with my clipper. And then I'll come to the front and then I'll tie in the front. Now I'm going to drop my clipper all the way closed. And I'm going to start back at my starting point at the notch of the ear. And I'm going to go into that. Now, when I bring this into play, I like to use my thumb to taunt the skin. See, when I taunt the skin, how it lifts around the ear? And that helps me get cleaner around my ear section. I can lift that skin up more. And the guard is only going to take it so much. And then we're going to end up cleaning this up more towards the finish again. But I like to taunt the skin and get those lines cleaner. See how when I pull, the skin tightens, I've taunted it. And then I just blend up more. And you can start to see our blend happening. It's a very simple process. I think a lot of times, I know barbers really
most barbers fade a lot because it just seems to be a popular thing. Guys want fades more than they wear longer trims. We do I'd say a 60-40 mixture here. We do a lot of fading, but we also do a lot of long trim work as well. And that's just because we've established that as a shop. That's our brand and our look. So the type of work that you do behind your chair really is determined by you as a stylist or a barber because you're doing it. So if you don't like doing certain things, then try to build your client base around them. We came to Frederick 4 years ago and opened this place from scratch again. I've been fortunate now to have a great group of guys that I love coming to work with every single day. We have a good time. Uh, we motivate each other. We teach each other things all the time. Carl is a really good fader. He's probably the best fader of the whole shop. So you can learn fades from Carl and Mike, the cameraman. He's our apprentice. He's eager to learn and he's trying to figure out things. So he tries things a little differently, which teaches you there are other ways of accomplishing things. And Cody has been here for 2 years and I put him up against anybody for 20 years that's been cutting hair. He cuts hair so well. So the idea is we've all got to build our business here from scratch. So we determine the type of work that we want to do. We push that work and it happens because I do a lot of flat tops. Cody really does a lot of flat tops because he enjoys them. And a lot of places say they don't get flat tops and it's because they don't ever tempt their clients into saying, hey, you want a flat top today? Because they keep wanting to go shorter and shorter and shorter. And then you go, once you just get a flat top and you convince them to do it and try it. So you will determine your work behind the chair. And so if you want to do longer trim work, you want to do classic work, start promoting it more. Start talking your guys into it. Get them to wear their tops longer. You can see I'm going to tilt the skin around again, and I'm pulling this up, and you can start to see right here, you see the facial tattoo coming out more and more. But I don't want to bring his beard down so far, so we're going to just fade that beard into it, but I want to expose the main part of this tattoo. But you can start to see the artwork, the fade, and everything is starting to come together more. So now I'm going to step over a little bit, and I'm going to bring my trimmer, and then I'm going to start basing off this bump line again. I'm going to go a little bit right above it. See, the bump line would be in the center. We're going to take it right to this crease. And then I'm going to scroll out this guy right here a little bit. Notice how I didn't disturb the line around it more. I'm just kind of bringing out the art and not disturbing the flow of the haircut. I'm using the corner of my skeletons, and I'm just kind of using it like a tattoo gun in a circular manner. And I'm just kind of working around the outline of that tat just to bring it out more.
David?
Yes.
I love all this info because it's universal, everything that you're sharing. And that's relevant because today we have people watching you from Costa Rica, the United States, Canada, Vietnam, Uruguay, Thailand, and Indonesia. So thank you for sharing the universal language of barbering with all your viewers.
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. You know, being a little redneck kid from Texas, it's kind of cool to know that people around the world are watching what you're doing. I've been cutting hair for 34 years now. Pretty much the only consistent thing I've ever done in life. So to cut hair for 34 years, you really got to like it. So I love the people. I love the job. And I love working with motivated people. That's the whole gist of it. And I know a lot of people prefer working alone, and that works for some people. But it's not for me. I like having a team, and I like
the motivation of watching everybody succeed, not just me. I like to see everybody around me succeed. It motivates me to want to be better. So you can see how we're really coming in here now, and we're just doing the same thing. I'm gonna take the corner of my skeletons, and I'm gonna really draw out that artwork more.
I'm going to interrupt you again and put a comment on the screen. It says, I'm only starting my barber course in 2 weeks, and this already makes so much sense. Awesome teacher.
Thank you. Yeah, the barbering and cutting hair doesn't have to be a complicated format. The simpler you make it, the more consistent you are, and the less you have to think about. You can kind of see how we talked about we were going to bring that line in more now. See, I've kind of come up into that. And I brought into that curl into it, but you can still see how we kind of shadowed into it. So what I'm going to do now is take that internal part. I'm going to notch my thing 2 down again. And I'm just going to softly blend that section in. And this is sort of like doing a shave. I'm looking at the direction the hair grows and not taking it away. So you can see how we kind of kept the shadows inside the lines. So.
David, there's another question for you. Like everybody's waking up, the caffeine is kicking in. What are the best clippers you suggest for someone to purchase? What do you prefer?
Well, I use the Battleless clipper right now. I mean, there's no such thing as a bad clipper. I mean, Battleless is a great clipper. I enjoy them. I love the fact that they have a notching handle. But a clipper is not going to make the haircut any better or any worse, really. I could probably take any clipper and still make it work because I just experienced with them. It's more or less tuning in your skills and understanding what you're doing with them more than the brand that you use. So same with shears. They're only as good as the hand that holds them. So I would say if you have a particular clipper that you're fond of, just maximize it to what it can do for you. Personally, right now I'm preferring to use the Battleless because I like the notching arm on them. It lets me have precision. They're like blades past blades. So, or guards that are past the use of guards. So it gives me like a micro guard use of having an adjustable blade that notches in. So you can see how we brought that art really out. We're going to do the same thing over on this side. I'm going to fade this around. Then I'm going to take the guard off. I'm going to open it all the way up at first. I'm going to clear off some of that. Then I'm going to go down 2, just like I did on the other side. And I'm going to bring that out. Now I got it completely closed. And then again, like I said, I'm not going to bring it completely down in there, but I am going to take my 0.5. I'm going to open it up at first. And I'm going to let some of the translucency come through. Now I'm going to go back to my skeletons. And I'm going to draw this out more. Same thing, using my point like it's a tattoo gun or a pen. And this way I'm not really disturbing the fade at all. I just kind of brought that top part out more. All right, now that we've got this, I'm going to kind of wet down the top. And we're going to get into a little scissor work, shear work, and then we'll blow dry and we'll do the finished detailing. I like mixing a little bit of the blue tonic into my squirt bottle. It just helps me have a little bit more combability. It'll break through any of the residue or product in the hair, although Carl's hair is really clean. I know I washed it right before here. So, but during the day, we're a street shop. We don't shampoo. So I like working off the hair in its natural form. So a lot of people really like to saturate the hair down, but you know, everybody's a little different. So I don't really like oversaturated hair. So I like to still work with the natural movement of it. You can see how we have our base right here. So I'm going to section off the center and I'm going to bring this down. And I'm going to make a few little diagonals here and I'm going to tie this in because Carl was trying to grow his top out. So there's not going to be a whole lot to tie in. I'm going to do palm to palm. And I'm going to bring these sections clean and down. Section clean and down. Notice how I'm moving diagonally around the head shape on this side here. Okay, if you ever need a really good way to find this line, see how that diagonal is? A great way of determining a diagonal section is come here to the recession, put the tip of your comb, balance it onto the top of the ear, and rock it down. That usually tells you the head shape of that person, and it just shows you the line to work around as you're going with your diagonals. A lot of times when people are doing diagonals, they have a tendency to work them in more of a vertical format as they start moving around the head. So as I'm coming through, I'm going to bring it down, and then I'm going to come underneath, and I'm going to bring it up, palm to palm, bring it in. So I'm going to bring the next section, I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to bring it up. And we're going to continue our palm to palm. I'm going to take the next section. I'm just following the diagonal till I cross over to the center of the head. You can see that point right there. See, anytime you have a point, it creates a shelf of weight in the haircut. So we just want to make sure we eliminate all those points. So now I'm going to come over here and do the tricky side. You have a good side and a great side to every haircut. Whether you're right-handed or left-handed, one side's always going to be easier for you to cut. So I'm going to wet this down. I'm going to section up higher, move the center out of the way. All right, now this is going to get a little tricky because he has a cowlick here that we leave a little bit longer. So I'm going to push that out of the way so it doesn't get disturbed. All right, so this way we're going to go this way with it. So we're going to move this up. We'll go down, and then we're going to bring it up. Okay. Now people have a problem with cutting palm to palm this way, but it's really not that big a deal. Your fingers are going to be pointing with the diagonal, and your shears are going to come up into it. So we're just going to keep following around. And it's going to be kind of like a boogie on this side. It's going to be a little bit tighter on this side. We're going to bring that up because Carl kind of wears his top where he likes to be able to part it and kind of make it into a crop when he wants to. And we're just going to bring that to it. We'll bring it down, then we're going to come up from underneath. You can see our overhang.
I think that shears make a difference with length of shear. When I'm working on my hard side, I like to use the longer shear because it just gives me more room. And I can also sometimes feel like if I need to, I can turn the shear this way and do the same thing. So if you really have a problem struggling palm to palm on one side, if you use the longer shear, you can still work it this way as well, but it's just not as healthy for your wrist. Now, when you're doing more detailed work, if you can see, I have a whole assortment of shears over here that are all different lengths and sizes. So they're just like screwdrivers or tools. I use shorter ones to do more fine detailing, 7-inch, 6-inch, 5.75, 5.75, 5. So it just gives me versatility in my cutting. So I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to tie that in a little bit. Then we're going to come to the middle. I'm going to bring this whole side over to my guide. You'll see the guide. See that guide? Now I'm going to point this out all the way down because I want a soft line.
David,
Yes,
what length shears are you using right now?
I'm using a 7-inch pinion. It's I like it. It has a very nice balance to it, but it feels like the way it's balanced and made, it feels like it has the agility of a 5.75, but it is a 7. It's just a really nice shear. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. Notice this side's not going to have as much overhang because we play that cowlick on that side. See, so this side we don't really have that much to deal with, so we'll just lightly clean up. I'm going to get in, I'm going to blow dry, and then we're going to go in and we're going to do all our finish work. We got about 15 minutes running on time. We're doing pretty good. Now here's an interesting thing that I discovered lately, and it's become my new favorite thing to blow dry with. We used to always use fiber gel mixed with grooming tonic, but lately I like the blue water soluble, and I like to just take like that much on my finger, and I put it in my hands, and then I just rub it onto my hands really good. Then I start in the front, and I kind of work it in a little bit, and roll it all in. And then I take my grooming tonic. And remember, I don't really squeeze it. We just flip it, let it drip into the palm of my hand. So don't overuse it. I merge what's left on my hands with it. I work it in. And I really love blow drying with this combo better than the fiber gel because it gives me lots of volume and control, but the hair has a little bit of sheen and it stays softer than it does with the fiber gel. And I feel like I can work with it better. So, and then a lot of times I'll just blow this in, and for guys that like a drier finish, can just leave it without any finish at all to it, because I've already put the product in. I'm just playing chase with the dryer. Now, when I come to this side, I'm going to switch hands. And a lot of people say they don't like to dry the front, always dry the back. But sometimes when you have cowlicks and areas that sit in really strong, it's easier to tame them first. and then just work it back because you're going to flatten up the back anyway. So I'm not really trying to make the back volume. It's I want to make sure that I don't let this cowlet take over. And I'm going to tame it right away. And then I'm just going to play chase and trust my haircut up top. Notice I'm not really overworking the hair at all. I'm just trusting the cut. But you can see how that blue just dries in so nice, gives me a lot of sheen, gives me a lot of control. I'm not fighting through it. It's not tacky. It's not heavy or hard. I do this a lot with the gray as well. So on hair that really can't take the blue, I will blow the gray in and do the same thing with. But I like to finish this usually off with the gray and some surf tonic to end with. I usually love the surf tonic for all my finishing. That's my favorite thing to finish with is surf tonic. Okay, now that we got the hair pretty much dry, we're going to go back in. We're going to do our refining. I'm going to bring everything down. And I'm going to take my comb this way. Watch. I'm just going to refine that lip more. See how that's starting to refine in? Just following around. I'm going to bring it over from the top. Thank you, Mike. Same thing. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to bring it down like we were almost cutting a flat top. I'm going to square that side off more. Really define that edge line to it up top. And I'm going to come in with my blenders. You have choices of blenders. I'm going to go with a finer tooth blender than a heavier blender on this. These shears are for blending, supporting, or collapsing the weight. Today we're going to be blending with them, so I'm just going to follow through it. I'm just going to blend out any of that line. See, I'm just kind of walking up into the hair, just blending off the weight on the corner. You can go into it a little heavier, make your cut, and then follow it out. Into it, make your cut, follow it out. Or you can take corners like that and point through it.
We're just working our way around, blending off that harder line. Notice when I'm doing blender over comb that I'm just staying in a moving motion. I'm not really holding the comb still. I'm just moving up with it, almost like you're just using it like it was a clipper almost. Keep the blade moving and the comb moving. We're just going to work our way around. Now I'm going to bring this over and you're going to see a little overhang on this side. See how we have that overhang to that corner? What I like to do to create a blend is take that and just soften a few little cuts into that overhang. That kind of brings a softer flow in through here. See, I'll show you underneath again. And that kind of ties in that overhang. Okay, now that we kind of got everything dry, I'm going to come into the front here. I don't really want to thin out this front line, so I'm going to move that out of my way. And I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to do little scoops as I work around and create some support. Really lift that up more. That way I didn't take away the integrity of the front link. I'm going to come in next and I'm going to use the Reuzel gray. I'm not going to use like a knuckle or a ton of this. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use a dab on my finger. And I'm going to put it in and I'm going to emulsify it in my hands really well. Make sure I get that pocket because my hands tend to hold a pocket right there. So if I ever goop a hair, it's because I got a pocket built up right in my hand. So I get them with my hands and I'm going to surface it first. I'm not really going into the inside because I don't want to really collapse it. I'm just kind of surfacing. Now I'm going to take a wide tooth comb. I'm going to work this through. Then comb it in, really work it through. I'm going to clean my part. Really bring this down. And now we're going to apply some surf tonic. And seal it in. See how that really makes the gray really malleable. It really thins it. But unlike water, it doesn't take away the hold factor of it. So it lets us really take that and clean up that part line really well. And really mold the combination of that blue that we put in to dry with and that gray finish to Gives us a nice, clean, classic finish. Chop like. And some things you can want, if you want to lift it up and put a little bit more air in it, you can just follow it with a pick. And finish off. Let the air back into it. That's basically our zone fade, and we've kind of just brought out the tattoo artwork in it as well as we moved around the head.
Thank you, David. You've got a lot of really great compliments and comments. So go back in and read these when the live is done. And there was a question about clippers that I missed. So if you can please go back in and answer that, that would be spectacular.
Oh, I sure will. And we're going to go back over here for a minute. You can follow us and our team here. Of course, follow Reuzel. All of you should be following Reuzel on Instagram. If you're not, you're missing out. You can check out what we do daily. I'd like to thank everyone who tuned in today. This is what I love to do. I love teaching haircutting more than working behind the chair. So thank you guys for all your time and your effort today of tuning in and giving me your time of the day. I'd like to thank my guys for coming out here. Scan around, show everybody, give everybody a high five. Welcome to our little shop. Love you guys, and thank you very much. Had a great time.
Thank you so much. We enjoyed having you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.